Hey guys, x-tec here. So in lesson 1 I explain how to install Image 3.0 on a CMD hard drive. Go into the configuration settings, set the miscellaneous features, and configure a modem. And in lesson 2 did the same thing for Lieutenant Colonel. So no matter which version you're using, today's lesson is going to be about the idle screen. And I'm going to go over some of the features that are available in the idle screen on Image 3.0. So the first thing I'm going to do is hit the question mark, which brings up the idle screen menu, and you see that there's several functions that are available from the idle screen. You can set the time, view the board activity register, and several other things that are available at the idle screen. So let's use the number 1 key. This will bring up the menu to set the current date and time. Now if there's no need to update the time, all you have to do is hit the return key and it'll bring up the current values. And at the end it'll ask you yes or no. If it's correct, you hit enter and it'll save that time. The number 2 key will bring up a different screen that'll be visible all the time at the idle screen. This is the board activity register. It shows you everything that's happened on the last call, everything that's happened, and in the log total column, that's everything that's happened today. And there'll be a current running total of things like feedback, sysout mail, users mail, posts, responses, uploads, downloads, new users, and how many calls were in the log. And then the 4th column is the system total. The number 3 key brings up the blocks free screen. On this screen you can see how many blocks are free on each one of the image program disks. The number 4 key comes back to the default last 10 callers screen. With the number 5 key, it's going to cause Image to do a garbage collect and update the number of bytes free in memory. Watch the M counter down at the bottom of the screen when I press the number 5 key. You see it just updated to 7054. The number 6 key is to do a modem reset. Watch your receive and transmit windows when I press the number 6 key. The BBS sends the initialization strings to the modem, and you see the return back in the receive window. This tells you that your modem is working properly. The number 7 key. This allows you to reserve your system for all calls, 1 call, or none. If you reserve it for all, it'll ask for the password. Enter a password and hit enter. Now notice at the bottom of the screen where it says system reserve on, and over where the RPW, which means remote password, that it displays the password that you just set in. So when a user calls, any user, and while the system is reserved, when they try to log on, it'll ask them for the system password. If they enter it wrong 3 times, it'll log them off. Hit the number 7 key again, and this time we set the password for 1. In this mode, when the first user calls in while the system is reserved, he'll have to enter the password to log on, and then the reserved password automatically switches to off, so the next caller will not have to, the system will not appear reserved to the caller on the next call. So I'm going to go back in and reset it to none, and you'll notice that the system goes to reserve off and the RPW says off. The number 8 key. With the number 8 key, you'll be able to see the activity log or the idle log, and select which day you want to view it for. If I want to view the activity log, I press A. Today is Saturday. I'm going to press 7, and notice nothing has happened today except that the board has been reset. If I press the idle for Saturday, it brings up a list of things that has happened while the board is sat at idle. Just hit return. So those are those are the 8 number keys that do things at the idle screen. Now you also have the shift keys that also do something. If I do press a shift A, the system will perform auto maintenance. You can do this at any time during the day if you need to reset the daily log. But normally it's done automatically at midnight, and there's no need to do a shift A from the idle screen. Another feature that's available at the idle screen is shift R. That's a reset. What it does is completely resets image BBS as if you were logging up for the first time from the basic screen to the idle screen. It reloads the i.lo program, resets the modem, and everything is good to go. Let's use the F6 key to come over here to the TRC function. The left side, the TRC means either trace or time reset clock. So if the left check mark is on, notice the line counter down at the bottom of the screen. It's displaying every line number that's currently being executed in the basic program. If I remove the check mark, the line counter stops. Put it back on, the line counter resumes. If I press F8 to turn on the right side of TRC, watch what happens to the clock down at the bottom of the screen. Okay, it just resets the time. If you've got your system set up to set the time from a CMD device during boot up, pressing the F8 key while the highlight is on the TRC function will update your clock. Now, if this board was networked, then in your default configuration settings you would have the left side of net check marked. And if you wanted to force a network call or a network maintenance to take place, all you have to do is hit F8 and it'll perform network maintenance. But now, since this board is not configured for the network, it'll display that message, node not configured. So I'm not going to cover all the light bar positions, but let's go look at a couple of other interesting ones. Let's cursor over to the next page and highlight the FRD position on the light bar. Some people call this the Fred function because Fred couldn't see certain colors, so when he would press, if you put the left check mark on Fred or on the FRD, you notice that the screen turns all one color, and that only affects the sysop screen. If a user was online, he would see all the full colors. And what else? Cursor over to let's talk about the SC2 function. Notice that there is a check mark on SC2 right now. What that does is it disables the second security check. If I remove that check mark whenever a user logs on, in addition to his either handle or ID and his password, it would also bring up a second security check where he would be asked to enter either his first name, his last name, or his email address as a second security check. For the most part, you'll probably want to run it with the second security check turned off, or so this check mark will stay in place. There's another function, ALT. ALT stands for alternate last 10 display. If I press the F7 key there and hit the spacebar, notice that your last 10 display changes to colors instead of that gray background. We did that because maybe some sysops might like to see a different screen at idle. The next function is TRB. That stands for Troubleshooting Mode. For the most part, you're going to want to leave this check mark on. Removing it will cause troubleshooting items to show up in the area window anytime a program loads. So if there's any problem with loading a program or something crashing for some reason during a program load, you can remove that check mark from TRB and you'll see the value of certain variables show up in the area window as the program loads. This was primarily done during the development phase of Image 3.0 in order to troubleshoot some of the things that weren't working right, and I just left it in because it's still useful. And the last item I wanted to talk about is the check mark on DSR. If I remove the right side check mark on DSR and hit F6, the modem is resetting, but you don't see it in the windows. What this does is it disables the receive and transmit windows. If I turn the check mark back on, you notice now we're seeing the haze commands. So that's about all the basic information that you need to know about the idle functions that are available when this system is at idle. For more information about the light bar functions, you can read the sysop guide, and you can also go into the light bar default configurations menu, and each one of the light bar positions has a description next to what its function is. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you find any glitches in the software, or if you need any help with anything in the image system, you can always contact me at larryhedman@gmail.com or on any one of my boards that I'm running on the network. We also have a Image 3.0 net sub on all of the boards that are in the network. You can discuss any items in that forum as well. Again, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the software.